for these. I must admit, it's unusual.
We both froze. He looked at me in quite a fearless way. I'm quite convinced I saw a thylacine.
How can a dog possess powers to hypnotise? And is the Tasmanian tiger or thylacine still roaming the Australian mainland? Animal X explores bizarre animal mysteries. First to Russia and the hunt for a frightening creature they call the wild man.
This desolate landscape may conceal a creature as yet uncatalogued by science. It is much more than 2 meters tall. Its man-like body is entirely covered in fur, and its eyes are said to have an eerie glow. Animal X traveled to northwestern Russia, to the forests near the shores of the Gulf of Finland, and to the city of St. Petersburg in search of the Russian Yeti. Here, from a small office, cryptozoologist Professor Valentin Sapanov researches on what's locally known as the wild man. He believes the hunt is hampered by fear on both sides.
We are afraid of wild men. Like we are afraid of dark forest, we are afraid of serpents, we are afraid of scorpions. It is biological afraidness, biological horror of us. And the same situation is true for the wild man, because wild men don't want contacts with us. He afraid of us, we afraid of him.
The search for proof of the wild man's existence has uncovered much evidence, including large footprints up to 34 centimeters long. In Russia, many of the reported sightings have been by military personnel on exercise in remote forested valleys. But some eyewitnesses claim to have seen the Yeti in more populated areas. Biological samples, including hair and droppings taken during fact-finding expeditions, are analyzed at the Center for Ecological Security in St. Petersburg in the hope of finding conclusive evidence. Sergei Gerasimov, researcher at the center, says, "I'm interested in the wild man. We want to find all the proof and to find witnesses to prove he really exists. Then, we will be able to positively identify the wild man as a separate being, as opposed to being any other animal." The paleontology department at the Gorny Institute in St. Petersburg has evidence of early man-like creatures, which the professor believes may hold clues to the origin of the wild man. It could be a surviving remnant of a primitive form of man, either Neanderthals or Gigantopithecus. But modern physical evidence continues to prove elusive, and sometimes researchers lose vital remains because they don't know what they found. While we were filming, word reached Professor Sapanov of recent wild man sightings in the forests around Lomonosov, a suburb approximately 70 kilometers from St. Petersburg. Animal X went with him. Any expedition in search of the Yeti here is carried out with a degree of trepidation, because besides its formidable stature, locally it's believed to have telepathic powers, and encounters can lead to sickness or death. High in the trees, in the heart of the forest, Professor Sapanov discovers distinctive marks in the bark, which appeared to have been made by a giant claw.
There is a high probability that this damage was made by wild men.
At a crossing in the forest, we also stumbled upon a series of giant footprints frozen in the snow. Could these belong to an unknown form of man?
The footprint at the snow, maybe this footprint was made by wild men. So wild men may live in this place.
Some of Professor Sapinov's methods may seem unorthodox. He believes using a divining tool can help show the direction in which the wild man traveled. Sometime later, we meet a local woman who tells Sapinov she has encountered the Yeti. Olga Nikolaevna says its head was about 70 centimeters high and approximately this wide, about the width of her shoulders. Its body was completely covered in thick fur, which was about 15 centimeters long. The fur resembled the color of the trunks of pine trees. The terror she felt was overwhelming. She was terrified of its movements and the strange glow emanating from its eyes. She says she felt her life was in danger. Olga managed to run to safety, and the creature disappeared into the forest. Given its local reputation for causing illness and death, she considers herself lucky. But this encounter, like so many others, throws a little more light on the mystery.
Every voyage, every short expedition is a little step toward understanding of the nature of wild men. And today we made one following step.
The Russian Yeti is not the only creature said to have mesmerizing powers. In Britain, a black dog is making headlines for his uncanny ability to send people into a deep trance. But just how does he do it?
This is no ordinary family dog. For much of his life, he's been amazing crowds across Britain with a talent that sets him apart from other canines. Oscar is believed to be the only dog in the world that can hypnotize people. His eyes can send even skeptics into a deep sleep.
He uses his eyes, his dominance there, to hypnotize people. And people tend to think that it's weird. I must admit, it's unusual.
Animal X tracked down the Hypno Dog, as he's become known, in Luton, in the heart of England, to discover the secrets locked behind his mesmerizing stare. After 21 years in the business, Oscar's owner, Hugh Lennon, is an expert at the centuries-old art of hypnosis, using the power of suggestion to relax the mind. It's a stage act we've all seen before, but will the crowd fall under the spell of a dog?
It's just a gut feeling I have that a dog will be able to hypnotise me. Come on.
The dog's got 4 legs, it's like the family pet.
But Oscar is not just another family pet. Thousands of people across Britain have discovered that he may be a regular-looking Labrador Retriever cross. But his talent for hypnotizing people is anything but ordinary. Few stand a chance against his mysterious stare. So what do they remember before sinking into a deep trance?
I remember seeing the dog, actually looking at the dog, and then the next thing I know, that's it, it's gone again.
You just feel like a different sense, a different presence, and then you just tend to like go down, you just go to sleep, you just fall. It just relaxes you, sends you under.
Hugh says Oscar's stare has always set him apart from other dogs, and even as a puppy, he looked at people in a strange way.
I found this farm in Yorkshire, and this is where Oscar was. And I noticed straight away that he was sat there staring.
Oscar has made a name for himself around the world with his special stare. But this type of behavior isn't confined to the stage. Animal experts like Dr. Roger Mugford have come across many wild animals who can hypnotize other creatures with deadly...
Of some animals to stare. We think of, say, a mongoose hypnotizing a snake. They're very good at it. Other predator animals will go and bring their prey into a very vulnerable state by this stare act.
Oscar has never had the chance to test his powers against a snake, but he has been known to use his powerful stare to get a meal. He's said to have hypnotized a man into handing over his lunch.